hit.
Yes. Hello, welcome to what I believe is episode 6 of Drop Third Strike. All right, episode 6 with myself, Terry Gant, and my partner in Denver is Beth Davies Stofka. we might have 6 fans now. We might be up to 6.
1 per episode.
Yeah. Somebody, a friend of mine that I grew up with when I was a kid, he discovered that I guess we linked to the podcast maybe on Facebook, and he saw that we were doing a baseball podcast, and he and I have been kind of reconnected. We haven't talked to each other, I don't know, since 12 or 13 years old for the most part, until like one day last year, he happened to walk into my shop, and it was just the coolest thing in the world. Like, this guy was one of just the coolest kids when I was growing up, and he's part of the reason why I like baseball so much. He was so into it that, like, I mean, this kid, he taught me how to throw a slider when I was a kid, you know? Like, he was just awesome. He was just a cool kid to know, right? And like, then he moved away. His parents moved away. Mom moved away to like someplace else, and we just lost contact because back then there was no internet, right? So unless you literally had each other's new phone numbers, because a lot of times moving when you're a kid also meant changing numbers, right? So it's hard to keep up with each other back then. But then his wife had a graduation on campus where my shop is, and they walked into the store, right? Was just the cool. I hadn't seen this guy in like, I don't know, like decades, right? And now we're catching up again. It's just super cool, you know? And he enjoyed the episodes we've posted so far.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so glad, because I think we have a lot of fun.
I think next, I'm going to see if next time we record, I can have a baseball here so I can demonstrate the grip of the slider.
That would be excellent. Yeah.
I don't have anything. I don't have anything here. I have like a dice container. I don't have a ball. But like, if the best way to do it is like, if this was like the laces of a baseball, you'd want your middle finger to be as close to the kind of horseshoe shape as possible. Okay. And then you take your index finger and you want your thumb kind of opposite the index finger, but you want more of the ball, right, kind of exposed this way. Okay. Right? I don't know if that's clear there to the camera.
Yeah.
And then when throwing it, what you want to do is as your arm comes through, you want to kind of like right at about like not the last possible minute, but almost the last possible minute, you want to twist this way. Where's my camera? Okay, twisting that way. So that you push the baseball out, and as it goes, it's going to rotate a certain way based on the extra spin you put on it by gripping the ball that way. What should happen is the baseball should move to a right-handed batter. It should move down and away from them, right? As opposed to towards them, right? You want it to go away from them. So to a left-handed batter, the ball should be breaking. It should come fast, but then break like into them, right? And you just kind of like you practice that thing, and what ends up happening is that a lot of hitters just get kind of crossed up trying to hit it, right? Because they don't know which direction it's going to break, and when it does break, depending on where the hole in their swing is, right? If you've got a guy who's not, really great at hitting inside stuff or like in on his hand stuff, a slider is a good way to go, because it's gonna, for a right-handed hitter, it's gonna be right where he kind of has a bit of a problem. And to a left-handed hitter, you just don't want to kind of hang it out over the plate. You want it to kind of cut into him, it's cool.
Yeah. It is cool.
Yeah. So I have a baseball in around here somewhere, but it's not in the room I'm currently sitting in. So I'm going to dig it out next time.
Yeah, dig it out
demonstrate
next time.
Baseball grip stuff.
So I have a question about that. So can you control your slider to go on either side of the plate depending on which?
Nah, what you would do is you would throw a different pitch, right? Okay. You would want your you maybe like throw a slurve, which is like kind of like a slider curve kind of thing, which would go towards the hitter, or a curve ball, which would break kind of a 12-6, like on a clock, so to speak. You know what I mean? You'd want something that comes over the plate looking like it's coming straight at you, but then drop straight down, which is what a curve ball does. So you just pick a different pitch if you needed to go the other way. Okay. But you want them to all look the same to the hitter, so the hitter's off balance and not knowing what the hell is coming. But if your motion literally is different every time, your hitter's gonna go, oh, his arm slot's over there. I've talked about arm slot before. If you put your arm slot over there only when you throw your slider, he's gonna know a slider's coming.
Exactly.
He's gonna know where to look. You know, you don't want that. You want him to be confused and off balance with what he wants to do, and you throw your pitches with the same look, or if you got different arm slots to do it in, you want to be able to throw all your pitches from all those, you know, you want to be able to throw the fastball from a slightly different arm slot as well as your slider, not just one pitch from one position. So whatever the hell you do, the hitter never knows, here comes this pitch.
Right.
You know, a hitter will generally they'll figure out what you're going to throw based on your tendencies. Some guys just kind of are shitty at sliders and changeups and are only going to throw fastballs. So, like, if that's the case, you're in trouble because they know fastballs are coming, right? At some point, in order for you to get over the plate and throw a strike, you got to throw a fastball, which you don't want to be in that position.
So that's why some of those guys just decided to learn how to throw 106 miles per hour.
Yeah, throwing at 100. If you could throw 106 miles an hour, like, you know, like I was talking about earlier in the week about Michael Kopech, and the issue with Michael Kopech really is, like, he can throw 103, but, like, he's going to have to also know how to not throw 103, right? Yes. Because guys throwing 103 don't last long. It looks really amazing, but they don't stay starters, right? Like, they end up closers. Right? Because you got 103 and you got 96, and that's kind of it, right? At some point, you need something that goes 92, right? Yeah. 89. You need something that, like, looks like it's coming at 103, but ain't, right? And then that'll keep you in the game. But throwing 103 just taxes your shoulder and your elbow and everything else, and you won't. I mean, everybody wants a pitcher like that, but you better learn how to pitch, not just chuck for power, because that's the thing that's a killer, especially now that, like, players are getting bigger and stronger, and there's, you know, they're taller, there's so much more muscle on them. There's a lot of strain in trying to, you know, huck a fastball up there at the speed of a bullet.
A lot of strain.
Yeah. There's something to be said for, like, fat guys with big butts going up there being pitchers, right? Like, big butt fat guy has to, like, kind of, like, you can learn it and not just hurl it, right? Like, right. There's going to be some pitching done when your pitcher looks kind of like a gallon of milk and a bear. It's like, yeah, okay, wow, that guy's probably got 5 pitches. He might have 6 or 7, you know? He might have as many as you, Darvish, you know? That's a million pitches.
A million pitches, like. I forget what I've read. So I've read one book about Satchel Paige from cover to cover.
Yep.
And I've read a couple of other books about Satchel Paige. One of them was, like, dull and I couldn't get into it, but 2 I've read cover to cover. And I think he said he had something like, he had something like, you know, 17 different pitches.
Yeah.
And I kind of believe him. And the way he was built, very, very long in every possible way, right?
Yeah.
And that's really, like, you know, we were talking about Felix Hernandez looking like a refrigerator.
Yeah.
And you got someone like Satchel Paige that said he was just all arms and legs, and he had to off all the time because his legs were so long, and, like, that was part of what was.
His pitching motion was just wild, right? It was just like this long, like, reaching back, and like he's gonna do a cartwheel up there or something. It just really, when you got really linked like that, you know, it's impressive. Like, and it's also imposing too as a hitter, because Randy Johnson would do this. Randy Johnson was like 6'10", and when he would throw, he would pitch to you. It felt like his arm was, like, halfway to the plate when he let the ball go, right? And that's just, like, maddening, you know?
Yeah.
When guys are that long.
Yeah. And it's not necessarily aggressive, but it looks really aggressive because everything's just coming right at you.
Yeah.
And when you add Johnson's aggression to that, then you have a, oh man, it's really, I can see why that was, like, so intimidating to face him.
Yeah.
You know, whereas I don't think Satchel Paige had that same kind of, you know, aggressive fierceness, you know.
Right.
But I think that he was almost like,
there's a confidence there because he knows you're getting out, right? Like, he's getting you out. Yeah, he doesn't need to also intimidate you. You can't hit him, right? Satchel Paige isn't getting hit, so, like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it seems like you just turned it into, like, I'm having a good time here because I'm gonna win, and I'm gonna win all the time, and winning is great. Winning feels awesome.
Yeah, you're not hitting pitches 1 through 6. You don't have to worry about 7 through 17, right? When I throw pitch 15, you're just gonna give up. Pitch 15 is about some loopy thing that goes, he throws straight up in the air and it still drops over the plate. You can't hit
it. Can you imagine? I mean, I don't know if you already know what this feels like to just, I don't know what it would feel like to just, no matter, just to, like, win all the time, like what that feeling would feel like. You know, and I know that Satchel Paige didn't get to transfer that to like off the field.
Right.
And that's what I'm attempting to do right here, is to wonder if in some kind of off the field way, if I could ever feel that sense of winning all the time. But I don't have it on the field.
I don't know if you go like get to go hang out around like your Rockies stadium when the playoffs start happening. Like they're gonna be so damn good in the playoffs. Like that Charlie freaking Blackmon has had a week, man. Like that caveman looking sumbitch. Like you should just be hanging around there. Just drive down there and walk around and just soak it all in, because they're gonna have a good time in the damn playoffs. Like that team is looking great. Like Trevor Story and Nolan Arenado. Like Trevor Story looks like, I don't know. I look at Trevor Story and he reminds me of this car upholstery guy on one of my favorite shows called Bitchin' Rides. There's this hot rod shop, this like custom car shop out of Salt Lake City. And they have this guy named Justin Stevens who does their upholstery. He runs the upholstery shop. And he and Trevor Story, like, they can be brothers. And whenever I see Trevor Story, I think he's a car upholstery guy. And he just fucking monster hitter and runner. Like, he's just great on the bases. He just doesn't look like, you know, baseball players are now, there's all kinds of different shapes and sizes to them. The Red Sox keep calling up rookies that look like lumberjacks and truck drivers. And then Trevor Story, just like a small guy who hits everything. And freaking Charlie Blackmon has maybe like, I don't know if it's the best hair in baseball or the worst hair in baseball. I can't decide. He's got like a mullet and like this beard that goes straight down. Yeah. And then it flares out. What the hell is he doing? Shit, he looks like a longshore fisherman. Like
he was mic'd at an all-star game. I don't know if it was last year or the year before. He was playing center field and he was mic'd, or right field, sorry. And he was talking about how, you know, he was one of those guys that, you know, pretty much beards for the fans because they love his beard so much, but he wasn't sort of, you know, like Jacob deGrom, where I wish I could cut my beard, but the fans, you know, he was just like, yeah, they like it, so I wear it. But they had a before and after picture of him. So a picture of him without the beard and the picture of him with the beard that they put up on, you know, on the Fox screen, and it was incredible because he's got this adorable little heart-shaped face with
if he shaved his beard, he could walk around town and nobody would recognize him.
Nobody would ever know. Yeah, I mean,
you literally recognize him because of the beard.
So cute. and
that weird mullet.
Whoa! And now he's added the hair. You know, yeah. He's letting it all hang out. And, you know, there's a lot of guys like that this year, just like let their hair just go.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like they're letting it all hang out. I think it's made a difference.
What did you see this week in baseball that just like stood out to you?
Well, that stood out to me. See, I didn't watch baseball the way I probably should have because I didn't see the 29-run game or the.
Oh my God, the 29-run game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna have to go back and watch those. Just to experience
I think that if you get 29 runs scored on you, you get an automatic 2 days off. Like that, whoever that team was needs a break, right? It was. I wrote it down. It was 29 runs versus Miami. The Braves put 29 on Miami. I think Miami should have just gotten like the next 2 days off, right? Then it shouldn't even count against the record. Like just, don't come to the ballpark. Just stay home. You know, go out and have pizza, whatever you want to do. Like, I don't know, order in, get some extra sleep. You need a couple days to literally just not be thinking about the fact that you just gave up 29 damn runs. Whew. Some guys are like, that's I don't want to be in that game. That's like, man.
No, that's being on the other side of Satchel Paige is what that is.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny about it is, if I'm not mistaken, the Marlins did get 8 runs in that game.
They did. Yeah. They scored 8 and got destroyed.
Score 8. You're like sitting so pretty, like 8 runs is so many runs, and you get spanked so.
There's a lot of adrenaline behind 8 runs. Yeah, you feel fantastic scoring 8 runs, but you gave up 29. And that's like, man, is there a home plate at every base? Like, how do you get 29? Like, you just run the second and score.
Yeah, and what's the conversation afterwards between the hitters and the pitchers? You know, like if there is one, what's that conversation like?
Because as a hitter, you got to still feel like, yo, we gave you 8, right? But as a pitcher, you're going, yo, but you didn't catch shit, right? Where were you? Man, is that an iron on your glove? What is that?
So, so that or the Mets 18-run game, like the next day.
Yep.
I mean,
and the Mets going to do 18.
That should have been an incredible game, except that there was a 29-run game the day before.
Right,
you know?
We can't even talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, you boring, you guys.
That's cute.
That was boring, you know.
That's really cute there, you and your 18 runs.
18, yeah. Good try, guys.
There is a thing that happened this week in baseball that has never happened before.
You just play in the shadows. Oh, now you're back.
Oh, yeah. I'm looking at my notes. Tampa Bay did something that has never been done before in the history of the league. Do you know what it was?
No, you got me. I was
Never, ever. And it involves their lineup.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It wasn't like 4 Cubans, 1 to 4, right?
It was not 4 Cubans, but it's similar.
Yeah?
It was 9. It was 9 left-handers.
No way.
They fielded an all left-handed lineup.
Did they win the game?
That I don't know. Didn't write down if they won it. I just wrote down that it happened.
I know I've got like 3 games on my list that I have to go back and watch. Because
this was on Friday. This will be on Friday. Yeah.
Okay.
So all left-handed.
I didn't see any baseball on Friday, but yesterday I started my day. First thing I did when I got up, poured a cup of coffee, and then put on the Twins Cleveland game.
Okay.
I don't know what it is, but I am just really drawn to the AL Central, and it was a lot of fun because Justin Morneau was the play-by-play guy, and he was giving a lot of insight into timing and adjustments on both the pitcher and the hitter side. He's a great hitter, thoughtful, and he's incredible.
Like a professional hitter. Yeah.
Very, very professional, and so I learned some things that I didn't know before. For example, that Shane Bieber is one of the reasons he is so good is because he's throwing with a short arm, I think is what Morneau called it.
Yep.
And which drew my attention to that. You know, he doesn't have like a big, long throw with a big, long follow through. It's just
yes.
Right? And
he's firing balls at you.
Yeah, firing balls at you. And he says, as a result, you know, even when you get back in the batter's box, you still feel rushed that you can't catch up. So you're still like totally off.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, and because I've been trying to figure out who's at an advantage overall, is it the hitters or the pitchers, you know, given this particular season and some of the peculiar rules.
Right.
And I've decided that maybe there is no advantage. Everybody's kind of, but Morneau was going on the side of the pitchers having the better advantage, because the hitters depend so much on being able to view video in between their bats.
Oh, sure. Okay.
They don't have that.
Change, yeah.
I realized it was so important to them, where that's how they pick up patterns. And so their second time through, they should be better than they were the first time through.
This mattered in a Cubs game because Javier Baez went to look at video of something of some kind of way and got in trouble for it, because basically since the Houston Astros situation, like, they want no kind of video at all,
right?
You know, for down there, and it's just not a thing that like hitters are used to doing. They're used to finding some kind of way of reviewing what they've done so they can make adjustments.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And you tell them they can't do that, like it's difficult.
Yeah. Yeah, Morneau said that Javier Baez has probably been the most vocal about this and somewhat embittered, you know, about the card that he's been played. And I could see all of a sudden why he might be really mad at the Astros, you know, or especially mad at the Astros, but also mad at the Red Sox.
Yes.
Even though they're the ones that kind of got caught. I don't know what else is going on, but, you know, that comes out. And now all of a sudden you're the one paying. Not paying at the hands of the Astros on the field, but paying overall at your game. And Morneau said something that really fascinated me, that he said that Nelson Cruz is super upset about this. And he said, here's like one of the nicest, friendliest, happiest guys in baseball. And if you ask him about this, he's just like, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it's not, it's because that's the funny part. It's the unintended consequence, right? It's not that the Astros and the Red Sox cheated and then won a championship or like whatever. It's that they caused a rule change that literally affects how guys make their money.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
Like that's it. It is not even that, oh man, you knew what pitch was coming and maybe you hit a double, whatever, like fine. Or not even, you know, we think we could have gotten past you in the playoffs if you weren't stealing signs. It's not even that anymore. Now it is, we are 40 games or so into the season, maybe a little more, and here we are at this point where it's like guys like Javier Baez are nowhere near as productive as they used to be, and it has to do with how they're able to prepare and adjust, and you're basically screwing these guys. You know what I mean? Like, you cause changes to happen. Major League Baseball didn't come up with an alternative to this, right? They didn't come up with you only get to review one at bat, right? They didn't come up with anything that was kind of like a middle ground scenario. It was, you can't do this anymore. Right.
Over again.
And if that's the case, there's a lot of guys who are absolutely going to be pissed off about that.
Yeah, well, maybe it'll come up in the negotiations, and maybe they'll be able to roll it back, especially now that everybody's really getting a taste of it, and maybe fortunately in a short season, where maybe your legacy isn't as defined right now, like maybe your future job prospect immediately is defined, but maybe not your overall legacy. Like, you have a chance to get it back.
Right.
I mean, I think Nelson Cruz has a legacy already. He's incredible, right? I mean, this incredible career, and he's actually having a really good season, and he's upset about it. I mean, that says everything to me. I mean,
it's also the difference between Nelson Cruz and guys like Javier Baez, that Nelson Cruz is a power hitter, right? So at some point, what Nelson Cruz is going to do is take that ball out over the fence, right? He's not a guy spraying the ball to all fields. He's gonna hit home runs. And if you're Javier Baez, you have to sometimes come up and do situational hitting. You're capable of hitting home runs. You're swinging for a grand slam damn near every time, probably because you can't come up with an adjustment in order to go for a double, right? It's got to be a home run or nothing. And that is a change to your game, or something that is hard to sort of kind of get out of your game. You can't get this out of your system because you're not really discovering that, like you got to wait till the end of the game or the next day for the hitting coach to be like, okay, now that we review the tape, you're too closed on your outside elbow, like this kind of shit. Like, they get this information usually like during games, and to be able to have to wait until literally doing BP or something, like that's just bad.
It's bad. And I wonder if in some kind of weird way that I can't quite understand, if it doesn't explain why there seem to be an awful lot of home runs. And maybe there isn't an awful lot of home runs, but I just feel like every game I turn on, it's like, oh, back-to-back home runs. Oh, back-to-back home runs in 2 innings. Oh, we've never had, back-to-back home runs in the 8th inning before. All of this stuff. Is it just because guys are having to hit for home runs? Because they can't work out situational hitting because they can't see what it is they were doing versus what they need to do. I think
it's part of it might be that part of it's also the thinness of the pitching, right? While pitchers might be at an advantage in game because a hitter can't go and review what he just did, there's also only so many actual good pitchers out there, right? There's one Max Scherzer and like another good pitcher on their team, and at this point, it's like your 3, 4, and 5 pitcher, not so good.
Right.
The bullpens have to be deep because guys aren't going to be doing a lot of complete games this year. Your bullpens are deep, but they're also not exactly all that good, right? You don't have a minor leagues, right? You have an alternate training site, but that's only got so many people at it. So like the home run situation might be because pitchers, you're not getting as much work in as you would normally have. You're not able to use a minor league system to kind of bring them in and get them out. There's a lot you can't do anymore with pitching. And if you've got 3 great starters, you're golden, right? But everybody is in Cleveland, right? Cleveland's not having guys go back to back to back on them, but like, there's some other teams that just might,
Right.
Texas might,
Right.
The Phillies might. Like, there's some teams out there that are good teams that might like have this kind of a problem because when you get into their bullpen, you get into their bullpen in the 6th inning sometimes, right? All right, well, great. This is fantastic. And if you are sort of a middle of the road like kind of pitcher who is going, now you've extended yourself into a game, you don't want to have these hitters to you for a 3rd time, right? Like, then for sure they're going to be pounding the crap out of you. Right? Like, that's kind of what I think is happening. I think it's that pitching is not where it used to be. Every team doesn't have 3 standouts, 1 ace, a really quality 2 and a quality 3 and a okay 4 and 5. Teams have 4s and 5s. They probably shouldn't have it all, right? An ace, and then you're hoping for the best with your 3, right?
Right.
The Cubs number 3 is Kyle Hendricks, and
yeah, the Nationals had that last year, which is probably a lot. They had Strasburg, Scherzer, and Corbin, you know, and even when Scherzer was like completely coming undone, you know, he had so much grit. It kind of didn't matter, but it did. But it didn't matter because Strasburg was so good, right? And then Corbin was really good. So even though you had, you know, and all due respect to Aníbal Sanchez, who, you know, had that, I've always seen him because he had that really joyous no-hitter or game or something. Remember with the Marlins? You know, always loved him just because of that. But I mean, he's never really been awesome.
And in fact, after the no-hitter, he kind of became just another guy, and the Tigers, I think, paid him. And then it became like, hey, when's he going to live up to that? And the Tigers also stunk and didn't live up to anything. So it's not Anibal Sanchez's fault. Yeah, right?
Exactly. But that's
Miguel Cabrera is on my list of oldest players in my senior league.
Oh, good. Oh, let's hear.
I started working on it. I started working on my senior league.
Is Rich Hill in it? Is Rich Hill in it? Is Nelson Cruz in it?
Nelson Cruz, I definitely have. He's like at DH. I have Nelson Cruz because he was born in 1980. I didn't finish it. I don't have a second baseman, a third baseman, or a shortstop. And I've got in my outfield, I've got JD Martinez, who was born in 87. I didn't realize how old JD Martinez was. Charlie Morton. I didn't realize Charlie Morton was born in 83. You know?
Yeah, that's right. We like
Tanner Roark is on my old dude's team because he was born in 86.
Don't put him on your old dude's team. You want to have a chance of winning.
Seriously, right? Like, I have two catchers. My list is full of like first basemen and catchers, right? Like, somehow I suspect that maybe like at some point second basemen and shortstops just retire. Like they don't play until they're 40. You know, they just don't do it for some reason.
Yeah, but
so I'm still working on it.
Do you have a third base?
I don't have a third baseman because I got kind of worn down while looking because it's like I got to like look at the MLB rosters and then I'm scanning all these years and my eyes start hurting.
Oh, yeah.
So it's going to take me another week to probably finish it.
Okay.
But, Edwin Encarnacion is on it. Nelson Cruz is on it. Miguel Cabrera is on it.
Okay.
Eric Katz of the Yankees as a catcher.
Oh, nice.
Nice. Oliver Perez of Cleveland is a relief pitcher. Greg Holland. Is on it. He's born in 85.
Yeah. Well, you can add Rich Hill.
I bet I can add Rich Hill. Rich Hill's absolutely on the old person's team. If I didn't get to him yet.
And why
Definitely
not? We could call it Jamie Moyer, you know.
Yeah. Rich Hill is modern day Jamie Moyer. He really is.
Modern day Jamie Moyer. And you know, I think I might, you know, as I comb through some of our previous episodes, I think we're also starting to build professional profiles for a lot of these guys. And the two that spring to mind would be Trevor Story, the upholstery salesman.
Sure.
And we have Jamie Moyer, the
hot rod upholsterer.
Huh?
Hot rod upholsterer.
Hot rod upholsterer. That's right.
Yes.
Hot rod upholsterer. And Jamie Moyer, high school biology teacher.
Absolutely.
And we're gonna, you know, you've got like some pretty great roles for these guys to play the field, and I'm pretty excited about it.
Yes.
I don't think
Kyle Hendricks is like a Greg Maddox impersonator.
Yeah. Yeah, we may have to call some guys up to flesh out our, but I know we'll get an all senior game. So on the seniors circuit, again the twins. So watching them play Shane Bieber yesterday and watching Kenta Maeda have probably one of the funnest games of his career because he was in a pitcher's duel with Shane Bieber and he won it. You know, I loved that, and it reminded me of another game, like one of the most special moments of my life, my baseball life, was when Daisuke Matsuzaka was called. Was all the hype around him coming from Japan to the Red Sox.
Every year there's like one guy from Japan that there's a whole lot of hype about.
Yeah.
People lose their damn minds, and then that guy comes up and has like a good year.
Yeah, a good year.
Has a good year, and then after that point is a good player. Just a good player, but not great.
It was okay, but he was such a big deal, and they paid something like $50 million for the chance to bid on him.
Yes, just to be able to talk to him. Yeah,
so much. He had so much hanging on him because of how much money had gone into him, and
this is why I don't like hearing owners cry broke. You paid $50 million just to have a chance to bid on a guy.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear it. Yeah.
You want to talk to me? Give me $50 million.
Yes. $50 million. Thank you very much. Maybe I will come to Boston. I was coming anyway.
Yeah, that Satchel Paige could have said, "You want to talk to me? Give me $100 million." He could have done that.
Yeah.
In a different world, in the right world, he could have done that.
Sure, he would have been worth it.
Yeah, he would have.
Absolutely, he's better than Daisuke Matsuzaka.
Oh, way, yeah.
Daisuke Matsuzaka was good.
They were saying Daisuke had like 8 pitches or something like that. Like that was a lot back then, because everybody talked about 3 back then. But so the first chance I got to see Daisuke, because I thought, well, this obviously has to be like the game for me to watch all year. That was before the TV app, and I had to wait for like ESPN or somebody to broadcast it, right? So I tune in, and who are they playing but the Mariners? And who is pitching? Felix Hernandez. And Felix Hernandez just, I mean, Daisuke just, why show up? You know, Felix Hernandez was so good that night. I mean, I don't know how good it was.
That's a pitcher's duel you don't really want to be in.
Yeah, you really don't. And nobody had even talked about Felix Hernandez, probably outside of Seattle. Nobody even knew who he was. There was no hype around him. I don't think there was even like, everything was Daisuke. And, it was Red Sox.
Oh, my God.
Red Sox,
Do you want to know a piece of trivia about Daisuke Matsuzaka?
Yes, I do.
Today's his birthday.
Oh, wow. Dude. We're talking about you, or your ears. But really, Felix Hernandez, man, because he just changed baseball for me that night, and he took over. He stole the spotlight from everybody and put it on himself, because he was just that good, and the whole nation found out, because they all tuned in to see Daisuke, and they all found out how good Felix was. And for me, he became King Felix that night for sure. And loved him every bit of the way ever since. Because it's wonderful when you're that good, but you're overlooked, and then you just, all you have to do is show up, and people start paying attention.
For his career, the pitcher closest that most resembles Daisuke Matsuzaka would be Wade Miller, which people like Wade Miller, but Wade Miller did not necessarily like stun you. You know what I mean?
No, because I'm sitting here like at a loss. I'm not sure who he is.
Wade Miller was a Kansas City Royal. I remember him as a Royals pitcher.
Yeah?
Generally, yeah. That's kind of how I remember him.
Okay.
Let's see.
I stopped watching the Royals after 85 was kind of the last.
It's fine. That's totally okay. Let's look up Daisuke's pitching numbers.
Yeah.
The most he ever won in his career, when he got here in 2007, he won 15 games, and he won 18 games the next year.
Oh, wow.
His ERA in 2008 was 2.90. That's good.
Yeah.
But then I'm betting injuries kind of happened, because he was 4-6 with an ERA of 4 and ERA of 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. The rest of this career, dude, he was kind of hurting. Something was wrong.
Yeah, something was wrong.
What about it? Yeah, that looks. 2008 was absolutely. That was his Cy Young win. He was fourth in Cy Young voting, and he was 4th in Rookie of the Year voting when he came in, which I could see that, absolutely. And then he retired in 2014. It's not bad at all.
Not bad, no. I mean, and I guess as a part of the Red Sox, I'm assuming he earned, what they paid him.
Sure, absolutely.
So
I would say so.
Nothing against him, but it was nice to see King Felix being completely unacknowledged and showing up and dazzling and pushing Daisuke out of the spotlight. Excuse me, I'm here now.
Especially if that was like 2009. Yeah. Like if that was in 2009, Felix Hernandez won 19 games.
Oh wow!
In 2009 with an ERA of 2.49.
Oh wow! Yeah, what a great pitcher!
Started 34 games that season.
Yeah, what a great pitcher! Nothing in him could break. He was so sturdy and so happy. I loved him.
Struck out 217 hitters.
Wow!
That's nice.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, you
232 the next year. Holy crap!
How old is he now?
Felix Hernandez is currently, I don't see his birthday. I don't know why. Here, I gotta click on this thing. Okay, there we go. All right, 34.
34. So he's
and he retired last year.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he retired. I know we couldn't call him up, but he's still too young to be on our senior team, and he's already retired.
In fact, because there's gonna be 40-year-old pitchers.
Yeah. Rich Hill's gonna have to take it all, I think. So the other thing that happened, I wanted to say, I'm sorry, Terry, I apologize in advance, but my man Byron Buxton beat up on your man Plesac, and
it's true. Looking at the ticker at that point, and Byron Buxton needed to sit his ass down somewhere. He was hurting my boy Plesac. Plesac's paid enough.
Yeah. And he was.
He's paid his debt.
No, there was one more payment due, and Buxton got it off him.
Damn it.
So, yeah, it was great to see. And another piece of trivia about making adjustments and how great Byron Buxton is. Something else Justin Morneau pointed out, because it was a cold night, Friday night.
Yeah.
And those guys were playing in the cold and the wind, and the first like fly ball to center, Buxton was running and running. He could see it. He got under it, and then it veered off. And so he like changes course and goes after it. And he has this weird like kind of contorted thing he has to do, but he catches it, right? And Morneau's like, wow, he really had that. He had that ready, and the wind took it. But he made the adjustment, and he went and got it. And that was impressive enough. But then the next time it happened, he'd already completely made the mental adjustment, and he went to where it was based on the wind. And that is a great.
That is the mark of a great outfielder.
That is a great guy for center field. You really want him. And then they
don't get caught up all the time out there with what you hope would happen. Be prepared for what's about to happen. Yeah. And therefore, the wind matters. Adjust to it.
The wind matters, and that's something you don't need video for. You're out there, you can just go.
Yeah, it's windy today. These guys, they're yanking balls. They're coming to center field for a reason.
Yeah.
My boy is giving up these dingers damn near like it's warning track power for everybody. So let me just move my ass over. The ball's coming to me, I guess.
Yeah,
we're not pitching ground balls tonight.
And that's why I think Kenta Maeda was like known for his ground balls, and yet that maybe that did happen more than anything. But Buxton was like amazing, and then they said that he's tied for second in MLB, I think, for sprint speed. So his sprint speed is 29.9 feet per second.
Okay.
And I mentioned that seemed to me to be very fast. 30 feet a second seemed to me to be a very, very, very fast.
Sure.
Run. And so I mentioned it to my husband, and he said that was fast, but that a hippopotamus can run 60 feet per second. And
it's true, yeah. But also, thankfully, we as human beings don't find ourselves in too many situations where we have to outrun a hippopotamus.
Yeah, except when they go on those safaris and they don't understand how, and then they are.
No point running. Yeah, no point running.
Getting something that big and heavy can't run that fast. No, I think it's very unfair to compare a baseball player to a large mammal, or as I assume hippopotamus. Yeah, it is a mammal, a very, very large mammal. That's a little unfair.
Yes, very large, ill-tempered mammal.
Yeah, but then I thought, which I didn't do any research on or any math because I can't, but what if center fielders had 4 legs? How fast could they run, and could they outrun a hippopotamus? And I think they could. I think you just give them those back legs for launch.
It's strangely, I know the answer to this.
No way.
And it isn't entirely just giving them 4 legs. Yeah. You have to also change. It's the reason why dogs and animals with 4 legs are so much faster than people is the efficiency of running close to the ground with those legs.
Oh.
So having 4 legs and kind of being centaur-like doesn't necessarily get it done for you. It is being closer to the ground, right? So you have more efficient use of motion and wind and a lack of air resistance as you're running. You're more streamlined. Yeah. So if Byron Buxton did have 4 legs and we're close to the ground, he's got a shot, right? But if he's got to stand upright and do it, it might, and you got to run like a person still runs, you kind of have a problem there.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so that's what we need to do is we need to put him.
I don't know where in the hell I got that information, but it was one of the times which I wasn't watching baseball, I was watching some nature show, and they're explaining why it is that like hunting animals are so efficient, so fast, has everything to do with like how they're designed, as opposed to being like, like a cheetah's fast because of where its body is positioned, its muscles are positioned. Whereas it is true that the gazelles are also fast, they're also bulky and more upright. So at some point, they're in trouble, right? They have better stamina than a cheetah, but that burst of speed that some of these smaller animals have has everything to do with them being small and low to the ground, right?
Okay. So that'll be after we finish our senior team, we can do our mammal team, our 4-legged mammal team.
We then make a bunch of baseball teams out of people the animals which closest resemble our favorite baseball players.
That's right. And let's just say that Buxton is probably like a cheetah because he's really, 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 really.
He is really fast.
Yeah,
he's really fast.
So yeah, those top 3 guys, the other 2 I don't remember what their names are. I just remember Buxton because He's a favorite of mine. There's 2 other guys, but all 3 of them can be cheetahs, and that'll be okay.
Your boy Nando is also really fast.
Oh, he's really
like,
fast.
there's a lot of the Padres are running everywhere, and I just looked at the standings. I thought that the Rockies were still in contention. They are in contention. They've won 20 games, so 21 games. They got the same number of wins as the Marlins, but the Marlins have the 8th spot. So the Rockies have lost 24 games, but it's because they've played more games than the Marlins have played. So they have a chance to still catch the Marlins.
Yeah.
So I think the Rockies will do it.
I do too.
Because I can't believe the Giants are technically in the playoffs right now, and they suck.
Yeah, they shouldn't be there, and that would be a letdown for everybody. And so we'll just have to we'll have to hope. Yeah. We want the playoffs to be as amazing as they could possibly be. And even Morneau was okay with the expanded playoffs and said he would be okay with it going forward as long as the best teams have the top seeds. And he's like, this is good.
Yeah, right now the Rays are the top seed in the East, and they're the best damn team. They're the first team to 30 wins.
Yeah.
So they're the first team in the AL to 30 wins. The Dodgers have 31 wins.
Yeah.
32 wins, rather.
I know why the Dodgers are so good, but what is it that makes the Rays so good? I watched a game with, I think the Rays, whoever it was they were playing, I think the Rays won. I don't even know. I wasn't getting an energy from them at all, and I don't know what it is that makes them so good.
I think part of it is they have a bunch of young players and no one's told these guys that they don't belong there. Like, that's how they play. They play that they have a shot to beat anybody they play. Like, they see the Yankees and they're not intimidated, right? They have a bunch of guys whose names you don't know who are going to hit baseballs, right? And they have pitchers who are going to get you out. They're going to get you to hit ground balls. They field. They do everything that you need to do to win a baseball game, right? You just don't. None of these guys are just household names. It's kind of like the Twins, right? They hit things. They hit them very hard. They run fast. They field well. They're just a hard team to beat because no one explained to them that they got to get more seasoning or something, right? They don't care. They just go up and swing the bats.
Yeah. So that makes me think about Polanco on the Twins. So they reported that he doesn't have anything like a third pitch swing or anything like that. Every pitch is the same to him.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, do guys really do that? Do they really go to all this trouble to work out what their first pitch swing is versus their second pitch swing?
Watch Anthony Rizzo. He's one of the better guys that I've had to see. Anthony Rizzo is a guy that you can watch during the game, literally make adjustments to his swing depending on the situation and how late in the game he is. It is. Okay. Right? Like, he's a power hitting dude, but late in the game, if you need to move a runner over or get base runners, that he shortens his swing up. Right, and changes how he does shit. His approach later in the game is just different, and he's successful at it.
Wow.
Right?
Okay.
So guys know I can't go up there and hit a 2-run home run every damn time by myself. At some point, someone has to be on base. I'm gonna go get on base.
Okay. Which
requires a different approach than earlier in the game when it's like, you throw me a gopher ball, I'm just gonna yank it. Right? Like, that's a different way of thinking about it. When you go up there and you say, all right, we're down 1 or the game is tied and no one's on and someone's got to get on. I don't want a 1-0. I think I'm going to get on and then let the next guy behind me move me over or possibly score me. Like, that's Anthony Rizzo changes how he does stuff. You can just watch him do it. It's great to see.
Okay, so that's next on my list. So who was it that did all left-handers? Was that the Rays?
That was the Rays.
Wow. Okay.
The Rays, all left-handers.
Yeah, so they really are thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
And, I could see where that could throw the other team off, too, because if the pitchers have been, practicing to mix it up versus left versus right hand, they get all lefties, and I have to have all those pitches working tonight. And
yes.
They didn't prep for that, so they don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, so we need to know who they hit against. We need to know who that pitcher was.
And also, we gotta hope that they have hold on a second, let me find it. They have a guy who got hurt the other night, sliding into home, and he's like a big dude, and it looked really kind of Yi-Man Choi. He slid into home and he kind of slid on like his butt. He just kind of bounced and it just looked super painful. And I think he pulled a hamstring doing it. And it might have been the worst slide I've ever seen.
Oh no.
Like, first baseman should just be allowed to run through the base. Like, don't make him slide. They're not built for
I
it.
agree, because he is built. Yeah, he's one of your Mack trucks for sure.
Yeah, he's a refrigerator.
Yeah, I remember seeing him in
He's
the game with the
6'1", 260.
Wow.
Yeah,
That is,
that dude, he slid and it wasn't even a slide. It was like a bounce and a stop. Poor guy.
Oh, poor guy. Oh, poor Rays. Well, it sounds like they'll be fine without him, which probably
Right?
doesn't feel very good for him, but it sounds like they're going to be just fine. So that's good to know. And I guess the Yankees really aren't putting up that much opposition anyway. And
Yeah, they haven't really separated themselves.
yeah. There was all this talk about how the Orioles are playing themselves into a playoff position, and then the Yankees, I think, just stamped that out.
The Orioles and the Mariners are tied. They're both 20 and 25.
Yeah.
But they're right behind the damn Yankees. The Yankees are at 25 and 21. So, we've got, 15 games left? It's possible the Yankees can find themselves out of the playoffs.
Yep. Well, that'll be fine as long as the Rockies find themselves in it, because that's really, I think that's really what we're pushing for is the Rockies. So, so
that you can go and cruise around down there and feel the winning. Feel the winning.
Oh, I will, because it's so beautiful down there anyway. Yeah, I'll pretend it's me winning, because that's what we do as fans, right? We latch onto a team and then we feel the win.
This team is made up of other people's players, right? Joey Wendell is their second baseman. Yoshi Satsugo is their third baseman, and I can't tell you many people have actually seen them play. Willie Adames is their shortstop.
Yeah.
Austin Meadows is probably playing left. Brandon Lau is more likely playing left, really. Kevin Kiermaier has been on everybody's team.
Yes.
Hunter Renfroe, I feel like he's been on everybody's team.
Yes.
This team is a bunch of guys that were somebody's bench guys, and I think they don't know it.
That's awesome.
They have no idea.
That's awesome. Yeah, it was really hard just watching a whole game to just sort of discern exactly what was going right for them. Usually you can pick it up. I mean, you can just pick up exciting stuff.
Their top two pitchers in their rotation are Tyler Glasnow and Blake Snell, and they're both really good.
Yeah.
So there you go. There's a team right there with two really good starters.
That's
right?
true.
And then I don't have a problem with Charlie Morton either.
I like Charlie Morton. He was pitching the time I watched. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm with you. Any former Pirate is okay with me, because I like the Pirates.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Ex-Pirate issues.
Yeah. So that's good.
Ex-Pirate factor.
So I was very perturbed to see just to turn on Friday and see that the Padres Giants game was postponed, and more.
I think possibly due to smoke.
No, it was COVID.
Oh, was it COVID? Okay. I was thinking it might be in the Bay, and it might be because nobody can see anything. But okay. All right, COVID.
Yeah,
right.
That was the scary thing. But I actually was believe it or not, relieved that it was COVID, which is crazy.
Yeah.
To think in the time of a pandemic, but their home games for the Padres, and the smoke haze has been pretty bad. But last week, so we had a great time talking last week. It was great. I'm sitting right here. I'm sitting at my west facing window. We hung up, and about an hour and a half later, I'm like, okay, something's wrong. I mean, something's just wrong. And we had a fire just up north of us that went on Sunday from 34,000 to 59,000 acres.
Oh, wow.
And then the next day it was 100,000 acres. That was on Monday.
Okay.
And I was really struggling to breathe. And so Steve, he goes on a daily bike ride. And for once the mask was, not just a necessity to control the virus, but it let him go on his bike ride because that's how he could breathe.
Yeah.
The air was terrible. And the first thing
the air's thin as it is, and now there's smoke all in it.
Yeah. Oh, all that. So I'm looking right away, what's the Rockies schedule? I hope there's no home games, because these guys are going to get hurt. I mean, they're just going to get hurt. But there were no home games till Friday.
Okay.
Then we had this big old snowstorm, and it cleared the air out.
You got snow already?
Yeah, we got snow. Yeah, we broke 4 temperature records this past week.
What?
Yeah.
Lisa just said it's the earliest on record for you guys.
Yeah, it was the earliest snow. I think we broke the coldest record for that date. We broke the hottest record for the day before, and we broke the record for the biggest temperature drop. So I think it was Monday, or it was maybe Monday, maybe Tuesday. We went from 92 to 40 42 or something, or
Wow.
in like 6 hours. So
it's happened here. Like in Chicago, when this kind of thing happens, we laugh about it because it's literally what our weather just does.
yeah, exactly.
All the time. We have days in which there was a day last year where I think it was kind of like that. It was like 85 the day before, and the next day you could just feel the temperature drop because it happened in the middle of the day, right?
Yeah,
it was everybody went out. It was all nice, and then by within a couple of hours, suddenly it was cold as hell, and it was like Chicago. The situation is wear shorts, pack an umbrella, and get a jacket. Like that's what you got to do every day here. You know, you just never know. You don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes. It'll change.
Right, yeah. Whereas we're pretty steady. I mean, we do have extremes, but mostly we're kind of, sunny and nice,
Yeah.
But yeah, there was just like no breathable air. You couldn't go anywhere to breathe. And
Steve just wandered by. Did he finish his bike ride?
no, he'll go out around 4 or 5 o'clock.
Okay. he kind of sort of made a cameo.
Oh,
he just kind of went around the corner.
Good for him. So yeah, I was so worried about the Rockies and anybody they might be playing if they had to come and breathe that air. So when I saw it in San Diego, I just thought, oh no, and I mean, it had just been so bad here that when it was like one guy on the Giants who tested positive, and I think it was a staff member, but then they said abundance of caution, right? Then I was like, oh, thank goodness it's not fire. That's that makes for a heavy week, heavy week, right? So I'm glad to see that they're playing today. I think there's been some consensus that I've heard on podcasts and on broadcasts that you are correct, that the 7-inning doubleheader is a keeper.
Yep.
That the guy on second and extras is a keeper, and maybe even this playoff structure is a keeper.
Yeah, because I mean, there's a lot of happy people. It's made a lot of happy people.
Yeah.
Because I don't even think baseball players want to play 9-inning doubleheaders. Like they don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Right. I think if you made an argument that games would just be eight inning games in general, you might get half the league might be like, cool, great.
Yeah, well, it might be because I had to get a White Sox game in, and I had to see Abreu have like an Abreu night again, and I can't remember which game it was, but it was like it was just really exciting.
Abreu's had a hell of a week too. Oh my God!
All this great hitting. And then you get to the 9th inning and you bring out the closer and it's a 1-run game. And now I'm like bored and I'm checking my phone. I mean, it's a 1-run game and it's the bottom of the 9th. And I'm like, oh, I wonder if anybody's texted me. I needed to look this thing up. I mean,
if you want to find a Cubs game, it's on. The Cubs game is on now, I guess.
What is it?
Cubs Brewers on TNT.
Here go the Phillies and Marlins. I watched this game yesterday. I watched it in for you.
Yep.
Because I know that Gene Segur is your guy.
That's my boy.
Yeah, and he had a good game yesterday. I know he did.
He did. He's pulled out his power. He's found power somewhere.
Where are they? There they are. Oh, good. And I get to see. Okay, this is good. I'm going to get to see the Brewers play. But I haven't seen them play yet. I'm really just advertising the benefits of the MLB.TV app here for everybody. Free advertising, yeah.
We've thought about cord cutting. We just haven't done it,
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's kind of like we need the right amount of apps to do like a thing everything we want to do, all the things we want to see. We don't want to miss anything. We don't want to find ourselves like, man, I wish we could still see blah,
Well, it will get expensive because we cord cut 2 or 3 years ago. And after a while, you start adding apps in, and subscription rates are going up.
They go up, yeah.
After a while, you wonder, am I saving money?
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit.
That's a concern.
So I'm paying $60 right now for Hulu, $60 a month. I mean, that is a lot.
That's a lot, yeah.
And, but I had to because baseball.
For services that started at like $24.99 or something, yeah.
Yeah. Well, because it still is. I think it's even cheaper, but I got the live TV option.
Okay.
Because it was the only way to get ESPN. What you end up paying for is sports.
Right.
So if you really want ESPN, you're going to pay for it.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm doing. I basically got Hulu for the baseball season, even though, because, on Fox, I mean, I don't want to see playoff games the next day. I want to see them live.
Yeah.
I mean, I watch a lot of games the next day. And how else would I watch all these games, right?
Right.
But I want to see the playoffs live. I wanted to see Sunday Night Baseball live. I'm paying for baseball, really, because I love it. I love it. So
do you have local baseball friends, like people to talk baseball with, like, to call up somebody to be like a neighbor? You could yell out the window, yo, did you just see? Like, do you have that?
My next door neighbor is actually a Cubs fan and a big Cubs fan, a huge.
Are they
Cubs
from
fan.
Chicago?
I don't think he is. I think he's from Florida, but for some reason he's a huge Cubs fan. He has a lot of
Probably
friends in
grew up with
Chicago.
this. Probably grew up with the Superstation,
Yeah.
like
Oh, that
WGN
happened to
Superstation kind of
a
stuff.
lot of
Yeah.
us, right? So
Yeah.
when you guys were winning the World Series, he went. He didn't have tickets, but he went to just hang out in the sports bars and just be.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, yeah. But you know, between my work schedule and his, we don't talk that often. So no, not really. I know almost nobody who likes baseball, especially the way I do. Steve understands baseball better than I do, but he doesn't really like it. But he'll talk to me about it. You know.
Sure. He did say a hippopotamus was faster than Byron
Yeah,
Buxton.
yeah.
He's paying attention.
Hippopotamus stat.
He found the thing that mattered here was a hippopotamus stat.
Yeah. No, mostly I'm just watching baseball and thinking about baseball. And you know, for 2 years there, I wrote for Baseball Perspectives when they had their artsy fartsy wing. I wrote weekly about baseball, and theoretically I still could. It's just that now I'd rather talk about it and decide. You keep going into the shadows deep.
So in the room that I'm in, we don't have we're in a dining room, but we don't have the light on. But it's sunny today, so like what's happening is as the clouds cover the sun, I'm disappearing. Right?
Ah, what is a good trick?
I haven't moved or anything really. I'm in the same spot, but like it is clear that the sun has disappeared, but it's still sunny out, right? Yeah, I can do a slight adjustment here. No, I'm gonna open this thing. There. All right, let's see if that makes a difference. I've adjusted the shade on my right side, and now I have half of my head is like in light, half of it is in shadow. I'm like Frank Gorshin in that Star Trek episode.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
That's what's happening now.
Tearing yourself apart. Don't tear yourself apart, okay?
and my wife is always saying I'm kind of like a vampire. I'm always sitting in this room in the dark watching TV or something on my computer anyway, because I do prefer it darker, right? I don't need all this. I don't like glare on my screen, and I don't really need a lot of light. It chills me out when it's like nice and dark. I feel like it's cooler because I don't like being warm either. You know, but for her, she's like, you're like a damn vampire. Oh my God, turn the light on. She did. She offered to just now. She did just now offer to turn the light on in here, and I was like, nope. I'm just gonna adjust this thing.
No, I like it. You kind of got light effects. You know, you got light effects today. You got special effects today. In and out. There's some blinking going on, and it's great actually. So what about
Chicago weather?
When your friend from long ago came into Third Coast Comics, did you know he was coming?
I did not know he was coming, and I didn't recognize him because when we were kids, Alder was like he was skinny and short. Like he was a skinny kind of. I guess if I imagined him taller, he would definitely be like a lanky kid. But he was shorter than I was, as I remember it, and just like one of those kids that just never going to gain an ounce of weight because he just looked like he couldn't gain weight. So when he walked in, he's like 6'2" and like I don't know, built like a freaking phone booth. So like I didn't know who he was, and his wife, she came in first, I think, and she's like a glamazon. So like I would have never, I didn't know either of them, right? So then when he came in, he asked me my name, right? He wanted to confirm that I was me and I am me, right? So then he then kind of asked and you grew up on the South Side, which I did, right? Then he's like, okay, I thought this was you. And then he had to introduce himself again. His name completely is a unique name. So I would never have forgotten his name, but I would not have imagined that he would have grown into this like pro wrestler looking dude that he kind of did, right? And when he hears this, I could be laughing his ass off because he absolutely looks like a damn football linebacker now, right? And it's always like these skinny kids that like, I wasn't like a well-built kid when I was a skinny comic book reading nerd, but like when playing sports and stuff, I was fast and at some point developed hand-eye coordination, but it wasn't something I did early on, right? For my friends who were into baseball and sports early on, they were already coordinated in all these different ways, and I had to learn that stuff, right? Yeah. But you just kind of think that when you're a kid, you think that as you grow up, everybody's mostly going to look the same way when they grow up. He does not look the same. As I remember, he had like curly hair, just different. He has a completely different look now, and I think he's built like a pro wrestler at this point. Yeah, I would not have recognized him. But I think that happens a lot of times. I've met a couple people who kind of grew up in my neighborhood, or we were friends when we were kids, and you haven't talked to them in like 40 years or whatever. And then a few have come into the store, and some have had to like remind me of who they were because they might have been like a year or so younger than me or something, right? And it's just kind of cool because my shop is not near where I grew up. Wow, right? I'm at like basically the opposite end of town these days, right? And when somebody recognizes me, a lot of times they say first they heard me on a radio interview or on a podcast or something like that. It got passed around, and then they came to the store, which is just super cool. It's like, you know, I do a lot of like interviews generally about comic books, and people like listen to those things. They listen, they find what I'm saying interesting, and then they, you know, from my old neighborhood will say, you know, they'll tell their kids, I gotta have you meet this guy. We used to read comic books all the time growing up, you know, and they'll bring their kids in, which is just awesome, you know. And I wouldn't have known, like this one kid, not older, but a different kid, I would have had no idea that he remembered us hanging out and reading comics, right? Because he was like a couple years younger than me. And sometimes you just have like, you know, you're growing up and you have your friends in your age group, but when it's kids who are a couple years younger, you want them around when you have none of your friends around, but then your friends are around. It's like, well, now us older kids got to go off and do older kid shit, right?
Yeah.
But these kids, they always look up to you because you're the older kid, right? And I didn't realize I was that for somebody. I was somebody's older kid to hang out with, right? And that's kind of a cool feeling, right? And then like when I always then feel bad when it's like I wasn't always the nicest kid at times. Right, but then somebody thought I was nice enough. All right, cool, excellent. You know, then they bring their kids to meet me because I own a comic shop, and they then it's like, all right, kid, now ask this man all you want to know about superheroes. I don't remember any of this shit, but like he knows all of it, so ask him, and that's like a cool thing. I like that. You know, it's kind of nice.
It is. It's nice to realize you were somebody's hero, or you know, or that you were somebody's safe person. You know, or or that you had that kind of charity in your nature, right?
Yeah.
And that's probably not what they remember were the times that you wanted to go off and play with other kids, because
or even that like just some of what you do when you're like a almost teenage boy is not just the nicest stuff to people, right? Like you learn to sort of like be sarcastic because sarcasm is the only other language you know next to English. Right? Like sarcasm is your second language when you're growing up. You learn that, and that you try to become fluent in it, and you're just kind of a jerk, right? And I think all teenagers are this way, right? They're just jerks until they realize that there's the other tools they need to get in that toolbox to be a pleasant person, which probably doesn't really happen until after 25. You know?
Oh, I still haven't learned sarcasm. I never learned sarcasm.
You never figured sarcasm out.
I can hear it, but I can't speak it, you know?
Yeah.
I don't always hear it. So Steve will have to tell me sarcasm, Beth. I'm like, oh, that's sarcasm? Okay.
Man, I think I learned that other kids responded well to it. Like suddenly you were funny, or you were entertaining, you were interesting. Like, oh my God. And that's why I can remember, man, there's times which I'd be shocked if I was my own friend sometimes, you know, but like you play with the kids, your friends are your friends. So to a lot of people, I was their friend, but I can say for sure, I probably wasn't always the nicest damn kid because you're just cruel. You're just mean to each other, you know?
Yeah, it's true. Except me, I was a saint.
I have a cousin who she came to C2E2, the Chicago Comic Book and Entertainment Expo, with me. Like two of my cousins, they're sisters, right? Mitzi and Nakia came to C2E2, and Nakia was telling my friends that all she remembered when we were kids growing up is she would come over to my house, come to my room, and I would just get up and like slam the door in her face. Because of my cousins, I'm the oldest of the kids, right? Like of my generation of cousins, I'm the oldest one. Everybody was younger than me. So here comes like one of my girl cousins who's probably like, 6 years younger than me, 7 or 8 years younger than me or something. And for whatever reason, in my teenage years, I had no time for these kids. And they were just, my younger sister, absolutely. They're in the same age group. They got along fantastically. When they would come to me, I would just be like, not dealing with it, right? And I didn't remember doing that. Right? She remembered it, but I had no recollection that I was that kind of a dick, right? I was like, I thought we always got along, but it was like always from my perspective, right? We got along on my time, right? And you don't realize this till you're older that, man, maybe, wow, you were a jerk.
Did you play sports in high school?
I ran cross country. That was the one official team thing that I did. But otherwise, I played like any sports like that other kids were playing. You just kind of figure out where you fit. So when we were playing baseball or something like that, I would play shortstop or second base or center field. When we were playing football, I would play cornerback or defensive back because I really couldn't catch. Yeah. Catching was my problem. I had trouble with the coordinating of the oblong ball in my hands. I couldn't really do that. Baseball stuff, I could do a lot of baseball stuff, but I didn't do anything like organized because time, right? Like I was 10 years older than my youngest sister, and a lot of what I had to do was go home and just be there for her. My parents both worked, right? So I wasn't doing a lot of like high school athletics. Cross country and track I could do because the timing of those things worked out. Effectively, you're running for a couple hours after school, and then your meets are on weekends, and you run a 3-mile race, and then you go home.
Oh, you know? Excellent, yeah.
There wasn't a lot of demand in terms of equipment. There wasn't a lot of demand in terms of time, you know, and I did that until I discovered shin splints. I discovered shin splints. That was enough of the running. I should just concentrate on graduating high school now. Thank you very much. I had my moment, you know. Cross country was wonderful. Thank you. I will take this participation trophy. I was faster than everybody else from South Shore High School, who was a rival of ours. Great. Screw you guys. I was faster than all of you. I will take that as my claim to fame. I was faster than all of you. And now I will stop running because it hurts. Then like in my 20s, I did the, like, you know, you go play softball in the parks or whatever. Yeah. So we had park district leagues, and I was the coach of my job's park district team. And we won our division a couple times. And I really liked being the coach of it because I like teaching hitting principles to people who think they can't hit, right? So there would always be people who would join our team at work who were just like, you know, not, some of the people on our team were absolutely athletes, right? Some of them weren't. And you had to have like, you know, a certain number of players clearly. And everybody who came to work at this company, they weren't necessarily athletic, but they had weekend time. So if people were like, I don't want to, I'm afraid I'm going to strike out. I was like, I bet I can teach you to not strike out. I bet I can make it so this entire season you never strike out, right? And that was my goal, is to make it so everybody felt good coming up the bat and felt like they could contribute with a bat in their hands. And it didn't matter if you were a mother of 4 or if you were like, you know, an accountant dude or whatever who'd never played before. I could teach you to hit, and I could have you feeling confident when you went up there, and you would never have to worry about striking out.
I can tell you what I find particularly beautiful about that. Not only just your kindness and your passion and actually passing that kindness on, but it's just that baseball is very special that way. Softball by extension. Yeah. You know, we always talk about that in the majors, that everybody gets a chance at the plate. Yeah. Everybody comes up in order. You know, you don't just say, "Hey, you're my best hitter. This is a high stakes moment. You're the one who's going to go in." Right? It's going to be the guy whose turn it is. Yeah. It's a pretty incredible feature. But now you take that and you put it into, you know, a leisure activity, an after school activity, something like that. And what you're doing is you're making sure, as the coach, as you're saying, that everybody gets to contribute, not just to get your turn, but that you get to just be awesome.
And you're gonna feel great about it. And you want, and let's say it was also like, if you fail, if it doesn't work out, it won't be because you can't do this. It would just be that it didn't work out that time, but the next time it's gonna work out. Right. And it's gonna work out because you're gonna learn that the only reason you think you can't do that really is a mechanical thing. Right? And a mental thing. So like, I'm going to pump you up on the mental thing, and we're going to fix your mechanical thing, right? And you're going to be amazed at what you pull off today, right?
I mean, the skill of being able to make people feel amazing, you know, as a teacher, as a coach, what have you, that's really phenomenal, and ties into something else I've been thinking about baseball lately, especially this particular season, with how just important this season has been to all of us. Is, you know, how they keep talking about people going about their business. Well, you know, he really goes about his business. He really does his business, you know, blah, blah, blah. You know, and to me, it's felt a little blah, 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 because why don't they just say, you know, oh, you know, he's really hungover today. Yes. or, you know, that dude got no sleep, you know, because he was worried about his kid. Or, I mean, just like so many things. Like, why does everybody have to just have it so tight and so pulled together every single day, every single time they come at the bat? I don't believe it.
Which is why it's great that there are guys in the league like John Kruk.
Yeah.
because John Kruk looked like he did not get sleep. And he was always hungover, and he would tell you he's hungover. He could barely put his uniform on, right? And everybody loved playing with that guy because John Kruk wasn't hiding shit. Right. John Kruk was like just out there. Hey, I have the ability to hit a baseball. It's the only reason. This is the only thing I can do in life. I'm bad at everything else. I can hit a baseball. I'm bad at leaving the ballpark. Like John Kruk was bad when he was in the batter's box. He was good. At any other stage of his life or his day, probably not the best at anything. My favorite John Kruk moment is still the All-Star game, the year that Randy Johnson was pitching. He had made an All-Star team, and because then there was no interleague play, he would never have to face Randy Johnson, who was a Mariners pitcher.
Right.
But that All-Star game, Randy Johnson fired a high fastball at John Kruk, and it terrified him. And you could see that it scared him so much, he didn't want to get back in the batter's box. In fact, he struck out in that game because the next time that Randy Johnson threw a pitch to him, he just kind of stuck the bat out and spun around in a circle and was like, I'm getting the hell out of here. Who wanted no parts of it. Randy Johnson is 6'10". He threw that ball like it was just like chin level. And John Kruk was fanning himself. Like, what the hell was that? I don't want any more of this. No, get me out. I'm out of here. Thanks, All-Star game. I'm happy. I hope we win. Yeah. Will not be because of me.
Joy out of John Kruk to this day, and all these guys are going about their business and playing the game. Are we even going to remember their names?
No, screw that. I mean, hopefully you do go about your business and play the game the right way. The problem with baseball is that it's set up in such a way that each guy is really in their own head a lot of the time, right? And has to think about individually what he has to do at every particular at-bat in order to stay relevant and stay effective, right? What you don't hear is these three guys always go to dinner together. Right? You don't hear these guys, they made sure they moved their houses closer to each other to get like better. Like in football, you'll hear stories about offensive linemen. The offensive lines always eat dinner together to make sure they gel as a unit, right? As much as they can, they spend time together. I would like to hear baseball like infields, like just hanging out together and like, if they're going to be hungover, then they're all hungover because they're all out at the same time, right? Instead, you hear like, like the star left fielder, he goes out and parties, but the center fielder is a teetotaler, and the two of them don't even get along, and it's like, we don't need that. Like, they can both still get along, but just we can hear about their lives, and it's okay if they're off. Yeah,
exactly. Make them a little bit more about all, well, I don't know, just a little more entertainment, but also just a little more ways to connect and ways to have fun. There could be more entertainment in baseball. And I'm not saying baseball isn't entertaining, but why not have more?
Why not have more? It used to be that way.
Yeah, it did.
It really did. It got kind of sort of a little sterilized there a little bit. Like it got cleaned up in a way.
I think it really went downhill, and like up to 2010 was when I first started to notice that guys were talking about how they were at their office.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, no, you're in Big Green Field. I'm at my office.
Right.
You're in Big Green Field.
Yeah, I don't want to hear that David Ortiz is at the office. I'm not at the office.
Please don't turn this into office work.
No. No, I don't want to hear that.
I don't know why they got there. I don't know why they went there with that. Then that was something because you keep hearing that over and over again in every broadcast,
But what part of that is though? Part of it is how baseball wants to sort of like, it wants to control its image in a way to where, like, when you see guys like Fernando Tatis and other Latin players having fun out there, baseball tried to stamp the fun down. Yeah. Right? To say that, like, the field is some kind of, like, sacred space where we play a certain kind of way here, when really what actually helps is showing players, like, literally have the fun they would have had when they were 10. Right? Yeah. Show them, like, losing their damn minds if that's what they're going to do. Because the field means different things to different people.
It does.
Right? The field, you turn the field into the office, right? That's not really interesting to anybody coming to watch a ball game. I left the office early to go to the ball game. I'm not here for your office, man. Baseball costs too much for me to think of the damn field as one big green parking lot. I'm not into that. It's a big green cubicle. Screw that. No, it's a field where people play a game. Yeah. Let them play.
Yeah, then you almost feel like some of the players say it. You're like, oh, so you're telling me to get out of your cubicle? Is that what you're
right? The hell? I'm not trying to get to your locker, buddy. I want to go out there and have fun. Yeah. be that weird mullet having, beard having dude.
So how did Lindor and Romo get into a fight?
I don't know how, but I suspect usually that happens because somebody said a thing they shouldn't have said, right? In the act of doing a thing that's probably perfectly fine to do.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't see the fight, but I can only imagine in baseball, when baseball players fight, somebody that said one thing too many, right? And it's like, okay, I ain't got to take that.
Okay,
you know?
so I heard our man Pierzynski talking about it, and he
because
said,
everybody wants to fight him.
yeah, right. So he gets it, and he pretty much said what you just said, that Romo said something, and he said Lindor is like the nicest guy in the world, and you can be the nicest guy in the world, but Romo said something, and then he followed Lindor to first base saying something else. Okay, so that's maybe not such a good idea.
And that's how it happens.
Yeah, and he said there's a point where you can be the nicest guy in the world, but if somebody's coming at you, you know, you kind
Still talking that nonsense.
Yeah.
Everything that happens on a baseball field just about is something any baseball player can imagine happening, right? Like a slide into second base can be a hard slide. It can be a slide to take you out of the play so that you don't like get to tag somebody out. Any number of things can happen. Even going to first base, it can be a race to first base between a first baseman and you, or a pitcher and you. Any number of things can happen. There can be collisions. Every player thinks about this thing. The fights happen when someone says something. During the commission of these acts. Somebody opens their mouth one too many times, and it's like, bro, you can run me over, but whatever that was that just came out of your mouth, now I gotta check you now. You know, like that's what happens, right?
So in other words, to put those two things together, you can be as exuberant as you want, just, you know, maybe not talk about it too much, right? Yeah, you can fly.
The only time I think I've seen a fight happen, the Roughing It Odor punch from a couple years back. That was a case of someone sliding in to second base and absolutely positively going out of their way and doing the wrong thing. And Odor had nothing to say. He just threw the punch. The talking was done already. I got it now. I owe you this. Here's a receipt, because what my man did was the wrong thing. It was a bad slide, and it was a slide meant that really hurt somebody, right? And Odor took offense to it, and let my man have it. So like that's the one time I can remember where no one said anything, but you could see it coming, right? And even Barrett, Michael Barrett and AJ Pierzynski, the famous fight they got into at Wrigley Field, it was Pierzynski coming home, right? And Michael Barrett at catcher, and Barrett was following Pierzynski saying a thing, right? And then he hit Pierzynski. So it's a case where everybody wants to fight Pierzynski, but that wasn't Pierzynski's fault. He's an asshole, but he didn't actually do anything other than come into home plate and score.
That's
right? Barrett, he must have said enough things in the previous at bats that Barrett was like, this damn guy, right? Man is unlikable, and now he's scored. Screw this. I'm going to punch him. I had no choice. All I can do here.
Yeah, that's when baseball's fun. I'm sorry, guys, have fun. You know, I'm never going to walk into somebody at my office and punch them. That is like simply not going to happen.
You just don't do it, right? You just don't do it.
Yeah. Even if they
just don't do it.
Yeah.
I've seen it happen with guys who've had it coming. I've seen guys get what they had coming, and it's like, damn it. Like, for a hot minute, it's like, he had it coming. And then it's like, ooh, but this is work. It's a bad place for this to have it coming. You know what I mean? Like, wow.
Yeah, work is supposed to be super passive aggressive and like steal their stapler or something, you know?
I worked at the place where I coached softball. I remember a guy who was such a tool. Like, this guy was such an absolute penis that everyone hated him. And what one guy would do, one guy hated this dude so much, he would come up and just take all the screws out of his chair. And we would see him do it. We would see him come up. He would come up from 3 floors down, right? He would come up from 3 floors down with a power screwdriver and just take the screws out of his chair at his office and just walk away. And we would just let him. We would just watch him. Because Bob was an asshole. And we were like, yeah, we get it, man. It's 8:30 in the morning, and it's 8:30 in the morning you come to take the screws out of that man's chair. Like, you've been thinking about this all night. So Bob's got to answer for something he did yesterday. And my man is coming up, and he's just going to handle it, and he's going to walk away. He won't even be around to see it happen. He just knows it's going to happen. He knows it's going to. He doesn't have to see it, right? I was like, yeah. That man, not only does this man really dislike you, but we dislike you so much, we're going to let this dude come up 3 floors.
Yeah.
Do this. And none of us are going to say anything. Yeah.
Yeah. So players have their own way of working that out, is what you're saying.
Yeah, sure. Shouldn't be at work.
So, okay.
You know?
Double standard between the, yes or no, double standard between the Batista bat flip and the Bodie bat flip.
Absolute double standard, and that I feel like bat flips the same way I feel about pitchers getting mad, thinking they've been shown up in general. If you don't want somebody to flip a bat, get them out.
Yeah.
Right? I think bat flips are fun.
Yep.
Because Tim Anderson's bat flip was epic.
Yep.
Tim Anderson, he hit a home run, he looked, and then it's like he pushed his bat away like it was a blow dart. Like,
I know, right?
The Joey Batista bat flip was like Olympic level. Like, it was like there should be a bat flip sport in the Olympics. He hit it, and then he like shot the bat away from him like it was a stick of dynamite. Yep. Right? Like, that was cool, right? David Bodie does a bat flip, and it's like, boy, he's just happy.
Yeah. I know. But
he's really pleased with himself.
Or didn't they kind of peer pressure Bodie into apologizing, even though it was?
I think so. And like, yeah, man, flip the damn bat.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, like, if you bat flip and it's warning track power, then we should be able to clown you. Yeah. Right? Like, that's how it works. You just bat flipped a fly out to right field. Great. All right. Terrific. You know, now bat flip your ass back to the dugout. You know what I mean? Like you bat flip, it needs to go over the fence. Yeah. I don't think you should bat flip on anything that doesn't go into at least like the concourse level, right? Like, don't bat flip on a home run hit to the first 3 rows of seats. I don't want to see that.
The grand slam, then it's okay.
Yeah, you hit a grand slam. Hell, you should carry the bat with you. You should carry the bat to second base and bat flip it into the outfield, right? If you hit a grand slam, you got to be able to do that. You know, I don't need this bat anymore. I've used up all the magic. Get that shit to the center fielder. That's what you ought to be able to do. Yep. The magic is gone. I've got 8 RBIs in this game. I don't need this bat anymore. Send that shit to the Hall of Fame, right? You should be able to just talk all kinds of shit because you hit a grand slam, but don't bat flip on like a fly out the left. Right. You know, you thought it was going and you stared at it. Like, now people should be able to clown you for that. Yeah. You know, usually they leave it to the manager, right? The manager, now you got to sit because you stared when you like, or bat flipping on balls that end up being like they're doubles, but you could have had a triple, right? But you stood staring at it, right? You don't want that. So like, there's got to be some line in there where you got to be sure you just did an awesome ass thing if you're gonna stare at it or bat flip, you know. If you're not Barry Bonds, you know, yeah, like there's a line there. Yeah,
definitely. Okay, high balls that leave the field, or ones that have. Okay, so high launch angle or low. What's your favorite?
I think I kind of find guys hitting high fastballs. I don't see as many guys really hitting high fastballs out. And I kind of wish everybody would just lay off of high fastballs. They're not in the strike zone anyway, right? Like, your chances are that you're going to pop up or, you know, make it out. So screw that. What I like is seeing home runs hit that when guys are pulling it up from like just above the knees, right? And it sounds like explosives going off, right? The Yankees have big old, like, you know, guys that are like phone booth size who are absolutely going to hit a lot of high fastballs because Aaron Judge is just a really super tall guy. Like Luke Voigt, I think, is like a big guy, right? But like, when it's like a average sized dude just hitting something at his waist, I love that, right? Because that's where most balls are going to end up, right? You know, and I think that's also where pitchers have the best chance of getting somebody out anyway. So you force the pitcher to throw a strike and then you hit it out of the ballpark. That's better, right? If you hit a damn ball, right? You hit a garbage pitch out. All right, you hit a garbage pitch out, right? But like a pitch that could have done damage to you, you hit that out. I find that to be something I enjoy more because you can't let that dude get you, like, you can't be caught looking or like let him like just throw shit and paint the corners on you either, right? When pitchers are coming in and actually throwing strikes and those get hit, I like to see that. Yeah. Because you got to throw strikes. But if a guy's just going to, like, you know, throw high balls and they're not going to be strikes anyway, let him freaking walk you, right? Like, take a base, increase your on base percentage, help the next guy who comes up. Yeah. But if you can hit a home run, I ain't gonna stop you from hitting a home run. But I just feel like if that dude's out of the zone and you happen to be able to take him out, I'd rather actually you pay by making him throw more pitches and you take a base.
Yes, I think so too. And that's the only thing. That's I suppose if I have any criticisms of Buxton, that would be that. I think that his launch angles are like, you know, 90 degrees.
Yes.
I don't.
Yeah.
He's batting 250. You know, I mean,
Yes.
you can't just get on base. You run
Right.
You run pretty much as fast as a hippo. If you were a hippo, you would be fast, right? So get on
You
base.
have hippo speed.
Around, right? I mean, just do it. You're a human hippo. So just get on base. That's kind of what I wish.
Yeah.
I mean, his home runs are very exciting. I'm sure he's very excited, but yeah, I would try to kind of steer him in the direction of getting on base if I were his coach.
I think this is it for a lot of pitchers. I mean, a lot of hitters. It's that the batting average means less now because home run totals and RBI numbers are really the thing that drives you getting a contract. So I kind of feel like in order for batting average numbers to matter again, you have to be willing to hit singles.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? You have to be willing to amass singles.
Exactly.
Right? You know, and this is a thing that I think that there used to be a time in baseball where somebody hitting around 200 was unheard of, right? You weren't useful to a team if you were hitting around 200. Now there's a lot of guys who are household names who are hitting 230, and it's like, man, that's not horribly effective.
Yeah, it's weird to see. That's one of the things that's just weird. I don't know if I'm just noticing it because things are just sort of quieter and calmer in the park during the game, and so I'm seeing more like things like stats flashing up on the screen or what have you. But it seems like a lot of guys that should be better aren't, and so it's odd. You know, it's odd. It's just the standings are odd. Everything's just
they're learning to try to win the game on one swing of the bat, right? And that stuff looks exciting on SportsCenter. So SportsCenter is going to show you like blasting home runs, absolutely, and they aren't going to talk about you also hitting 230. So what did you really do? Your batting average is now 232. You know, like I don't think that's good. You know, I don't think that's good.
Yeah. So I have a few more things, but I can save them up. I think I have to go watch 4 baseball games now. I've got 4 to watch. I'll watch them when it's on because I want to see Rizzo do what you said he does. Mm-hmm. And then I've got like the all lefties, the 29-run game, and the 18-run game. I got to find out what that's all about.
Yep. All right.
Maybe by then I'll know who's going to win the World Series. I might know. I might not say.
All right, sign us out, Beth.
Okay. Well, it's been another 6th episode. It's been another episode of. Well, I'm messing this up. Okay, let's try again. When I don't mess it up. This is my friend Terry Gant, who is awesome. And then, I'm Beth, and we are leaving you with this thought. Drops third strike. Turn into the love.
Hi, Steve. He just walked by again.
Have you guys discussed the playoffs has not happened yet, has it?
Nope.
So in the NBA, they're talking about the caliber of play has gone up because these guys are not so beat up. They're also not going out drinking because they're in the bubble.
Yes.
And so is anybody starting to talk about the caliber of play in baseball the same way?
No, they're not talking about it because in baseball, they often don't talk about what players do after they leave the field, right? They're really very hush-hush about it. In the neighborhood, you kind of know what players do because you're in the bars usually, right? Where you can literally see the players show up, especially here in Chicago, right? But now they're kind of not discussing that so much at all. And I think people are kind of treating it more like they're stunned we're still playing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we've made it to 45 games. I didn't think we'd get this far. So I think nobody wants to jinx it.
But has anybody said, okay, the caliber of play is better?
They've talked about a lot of launch angle things, what me and Beth just talked about. So there's hitting has changed a bit, right? And they've definitely discussed the use of the bullpen, which is to say that the caliber of pitching is worse, right?
Really?
Starting pitching not going as far, right? And the bullpen's being used more, you know? But it isn't like a lifestyle thing. It's more of like you're doing a 60-game sprint, so we got to change up how we do some stuff. You didn't have a spring training, there was a whole lot of like acrimony around when you were going to play and how you were going to do it. So a lot of time was missed,
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, you have to catch last week's episode to hear us talk about bullpen use.
Oh,
yep.
yeah.
We did. We talked about bullpen use last week.
Yeah.
Send me the link to your channel.
See, we're gonna get a 4th subscriber now.
Or either a seventh subscriber.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So now
Converted
I'm
your
a
husband.
subscriber ahead. Yeah. My husband's going to subscribe, and now I haven't subscribed. We've always got me. I guess I can always. if we
You
go
should count.
we go through for a week without picking somebody up, I can go in and subscribe. So we got that interaction.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. So okay, again, that was a guest appearance by my husband Steve, who asked probably a question on everybody's mind, and we will cover that. We will continue to cover that in every episode. So tune in next week. This is episode 6 of Dropped Third Strike. I'm Beth Davies in Denver. I'm signing off now for myself and my friend Terry Gant in Chicago. Say bye, Terry.
See you later.
Yeah, see you later, and we'll see
Turn
you.
into the love.
Turn into the love, yes. I love it. See you next week.
Later. Bye.
Bye.